to episode 7 of Mutigaire Gemi, a bi-weekly podcast where we help you learn about your Agikuyu culture, history, and heritage in English and in a fun, light-hearted way. I'm Njeri Wadiho, your anchor, and I'm here with Waiyaki Wageshaga, your cultural enthusiast who continues to immerse himself in learning the ways of our ancestors. So guys, I'm really excited about today's episode because today we go deep into the stages of life of a Mugikuyu, right? And we look at this through two very important lenses. And as we go through the entire episode, you'll start to connect the dots between the ways of our ancestors, the ways they lived, and our current contemporary modern life. So these are the two lenses that we're going to look at on this podcast. The first is we're going to look at the ethical principles that governed the life of a Mugikuyu. And as you listen to this, you will see the connection to Eastern philosophy, which is pretty fascinating, as well as New Age spirituality. But you'll also see how deep and rich our culture is. The second thing that we're going to cover today is we'll talk about the stages of a man and the stages of a woman, right, in our culture. And here's what you're going to discover. These are really relevant to the way you live your life today. Secondly, you'll see that our ancestors created a holistic person, right, through this approach to life. And they also created order within the society. And you'll find out why order, especially in the cosmos, is so important. And then lastly, you're going to see that everything that the Mugikuyu did was intentional and purposeful. And in life, no one was left behind. Okay, Waiyaki, are you ready to jump in?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
All right, Waiyaki. So today we're going to talk about the stages of a Mugikuyu man and a Mugikuyu woman's life. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited to dig in, right? Okay. Especially to see how this connects to our modern contemporary life.
Okay.
So my question for you, Waiyaki, is where do you want to start this conversation today?
So I'd like to start it at the purpose of life of a Mugikuyu. Mm-hmm. So every Mugikuyu, man, woman, child, had a purpose in their life. And it's something we've talked about before. And it's what we defined as ire and ireri. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember what ire and ireri means.
I remember, just don't ask me.
So for our audience who didn't listen to the podcast before, mm-hmm. we defined ire as wealth.
Okay.
And what wealth stands for in the Agikuyu philosophy.
Oh, let me remind you, there were 5 things, right?
Okay.
There were 5 definitions. Okay, you continue.
So I'm glad you remember that there were 5.
At least I remember 5.
You are doing your homework. Mm-hmm. I see you.
Mm-hmm.
So wealth is looked at in terms of 5 things, where it's health, peace, that's number 2. Wisdom and knowledge is number 3. Children is number 4, which is the future, right? And then 5 is material possessions. And we said that you may have money and material possessions, but you wouldn't be able to enjoy that money or that wealth if you don't have the other 4 wealths.
Yeah, so it's just a very holistic definition of wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we talked about ireri. Mm-hmm. So ireri is the honor or the legacy that a person possessed, whether they were alive, whether they were dead. And so that's what we say when we say Mutigaire Naireri, we mean somebody who has left wealth and honor. When we say Mweduo Neire Naireri, we mean someone who is alive but who has wealth and honor. Mm. So you could be a child, you could be a grown-up. If you're alive and you have wealth and honor, you're a Mweduo Neire Naireri.
I just think, Waiyaki, that it's so beautiful that, again, as a reminder, the purpose of a Mugikuyu, the reason we existed, right, was to build and to have ire na ireri in this life and in the afterlife. To have wealth and honor.
That's
and
correct.
I think that that's just so beautiful. Fantastic. So then where do we take this conversation? So that's the purpose of a Mugikuyu. All right, keep going.
Exactly. So with those two aims, when a child is born, the blessings that they are wished for or they are hoped for by their parents and by their ancestors is to pursue those two pillars of our philosophy.
Yeah.
And any philosophy has to have some ethical aspects to it. So under Ireri and Ireri, we have... so the Kikuyu philosophy, or the philosophy that the Mugikuyu lived by, was governed by 5 virtues.
Okay.
So the first virtue was honesty. You know, are you an honest person? And not just honesty in terms of not being a liar. Are you upright, or do you have what is called odhigu? So odhigu is a Kikuyu word that can stand for many meanings, but in honesty, in the honesty virtue, it talks about being upright, being honest with other people, being honest with your family members.
So it's uprightness of character.
Exactly. Truthfulness.
Yes.
Are you a stand-up guy or a stand-up girl?
Yeah.
Or a stand-up man or a stand-up woman? Do you say what you're going to... do you do what you're going to say?
Integrity.
And as we talk about these philosophies in Njeri, the thing that I want the person listening to this podcast is to know that the Agikuyu had a philosophy of life.
Yeah.
Because today, when you go study philosophy in the university, you're going to learn about Socrates and Aristotle, and you're going to learn about all these aspects of philosophy, of schools of philosophy, Stoicism, essentialism. You're going to learn about all those existentialism. You're going to learn about so many different schools of philosophy because Greek philosophy was the most prominent. But I do want our listeners and the people who are listening to this to understand that, and I'm not speaking just for the Agikuyu, I'm speaking for a lot of different cultures in general.
African cultures too.
Cultures, they had philosophies behind what they did.
Yes, and that's the word that keeps so powerful. It keeps reminding me, guys, we were not backward and primitive. Right? Our mental status was not that of children.
No.
In fact, we had philosophies. I know today we focus, like you're saying, on learning Western philosophies. But if we take a step back, we start to realize that even our own ancestors, right, had philosophies in their way of life. And that is something that makes me so proud. So the first virtue and part of our Mugikuyu philosophy was honesty, uprightness of character, integrity, truthfulness, right? Beautiful. What was the second philosophy in the Mugikuyu ethics or way of life?
So the Mugikuyu looked at generosity very seriously. So generosity. And being generous doesn't just mean giving money. It means being generous with your time, being generous with your material possessions, being able to give and not just look at yourself and be selfish. I know we had talked about in a previous podcast about the Mogare, the Agare clan.
I know.
The ones that actually added water while they were cooking.
The folk tale.
But generosity was viewed very seriously. In fact, the Mugikuyu, when they planted... So women, as we've talked about before, were the masters of the land. They're the ones who used to plant and sow and seed and use the land to produce, right? And so if you had an abundant harvest, so what the Mugikuyu used to do is they used to have a place for storage, which is called ikobe, on the road, so that if a stranger was walking past, they could get something to eat.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful.
And the reason for that, it is beautiful, Njeri, and the reason for that is the fact that they recognized that we have been blessed with an abundant harvest, and one way to show gratitude, one way to give back and show and thank Mwene Nyaga for his blessings is to be able to bless other people.
Yes.
Another thing is, I remember growing up, and I'm sure you remember this, and in every home that you went to visit, if it was a Mugikuyu, they would never let you leave without eating something.
No, and you'd better go hungry. You better go there hungry or you're going to eat.
You're going to
matter.
eat. Right, yeah. So I hear a lot of guys who visit Kenya from the US, and they go visiting their different aunties and uncles. And at every house, they have to eat. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you just had a 4-course meal at your uncle's.
So let me tell you a story, right? So I remember when I was coming to America my first time, right? So I was 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And of course, I had all this food, crisps, and everything that I was bringing to the States. And I remember sitting on the plane and opening my crisps, and I had a couple of jungus on my side, so not Kenyans. Mm-hmm. And I was so confused. Do I offer them my crisps? Or do I not? I was so confused. And then nowadays, it's so normal. You don't offer your crisps. You just open up your bag and eat it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're right. That's absolutely our culture in terms of sharing what we have.
Sharing and generosity, because the Mugikuyu believes that if you are selfish or if you're mean, God is not going to extend you that courtesy. So you have to be able to give, to receive.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you think about New Age culture, religion, or way of thought, and you think about Eastern philosophy, one of the core pillars of those two philosophies is gratitude. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Eckhart Tolle, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, actually says, if there was one prayer you can say every day, it's thank you. Mm-hmm. But this also helps me realize the interconnectedness of our own philosophies and the platform of gratitude, right, was not just unique to Eastern philosophies, it was truly embedded in our culture.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Wonderful. So then what's the third value?
The third ethical pillar or virtue is justice, or what we call in Kikuyu, kihoto. Mm-hmm. So the Mugikuyu always looked for justice. And that's why you actually have names like Moshiri. Mm. The name Moshiri comes from the word Goshira. And
what is Goshira?
Goshira is to look for justice. Whether kihoto.
Okay.
Whether it means to search, kihoto is justice.
Okay.
And I know Bwana Kingori, Muthuri Tikengori, who came on our podcast a few weeks ago, mentioned that kihoto is one of the main things the Mugikuyu looks for in every aspect of their life. And that's why he actually said that uhoro, the word uhoro, like uhoro aku or we muhoro, means, are you okay? Do you have peace and justice within you? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that is bothering you?
Yeah.
So kihoto is really an important virtue for every Mugikuyu to have. And another thing I'll say, Jerry, before you respond is, so I'll say this. Have you ever heard of the word keharo?
Yes, a field.
It's a field, right?
Yeah.
But keharo comes from the word kohara.
To be broke?
No.
Oh,
To be broke is kohara.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's the intonation. Okay.
Intonation, yeah.
Okay.
But kiharo is where kwaharana go. Kuharana is not to fight, but is to look for truth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or kuwedha ma, which ma is in a lot of important words in the Gikuyu language. So the keharo is where, when you have two teams who are duking it out, right? What are they trying to find out? Who is the winner?
Yeah.
What are they trying to do to get kehoto? So you see how those words are interlinked and interdependent.
And Kihoto was what?
Justice.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, so the word keharo or kuhara is not really to fight, it's gwedhama,
Okay.
which is to seek the truth.
So
through
beautiful.
justice,
Yes.
which is kehoto.
Right. And I remember you said in one of our podcasts that, to the Mugikuyu, right, there had to be justice and reconciliation in every situation. So we've grown up, or most people, when we've embraced the Western philosophy, sorry is good enough, right? So I can come and, do something to hurt you and say sorry, right? And we've moved on and we move on. And that's probably also normal in most cultures. But what I remember you saying, and what I'm taking from this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's the idea, deeply embedded is the idea of justice, which to me also resonates with Eastern philosophies, which are some of the oldest philosophies around. We've all heard it. Karma. What you put out comes back, right?
Absolutely.
Meaning that for there to be justice, there has to be, I don't know what the right word is. If there was something of certain significance that you did negatively, there had to be equal compensation to make up for it. That sometimes sorry is not good enough. There has to be equal compensation that is equal to the amount of hurt or issue that you had.
Absolutely.
Could you go more into that? Is that true? Do you agree or no?
It's true. There's actually two things in the Gikuyu language that don't exist really. So it's sorry. There's no sorry. Actually, the way to ask for forgiveness is dahoya dejo. So dahoya dejo is not saying sorry. It's you actually have to bring something to pay for what you have done, so that you can what is called kuhorohia, which is to kind of, which comes from the word ohoro, which is to seek truth to solve that problem, to get justice.
Yes.
And another thing that in Gikuyu we don't have is coincidence, which we were speaking earlier about offline.
Right.
That there are no coincidences.
Correct.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
But you're totally right. The Mugikuyu, one of the most important virtues is looking for justice. And justice is not saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Because it may not have equal weight to the issue that the violation that you had.
Absolutely.
It's about equal weight.
Njeri, if you slap me right now, and then...
And I was about to, because I'm like, I was feeling it in me.
And you say sorry, that doesn't equal the slap.
It doesn't placate it enough.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It has to be something more significant.
Yes.
So
okay, beautiful. Okay, so number 3 was justice. So what was number 4? What was the 4th ethical virtue?
The 4th ethical virtue is courage, which I don't know if you know the word courage in Gikuyu.
Tell me.
We spoke about it before.
Of course I know it. Don't test me in public. I get shy.
You don't want to be tested?
I get shy when I'm speaking in public.
So I'll give you a clue. We talked about it during the episode of Gemi.
Yes.
And it's the 5th Gemi
for the boys.
For the boys,
yes.
Which was courage.
Yes.
So courage, since you're not answering, is Oshaba.
I remember. At first I thought it's like Ushamba.
Wow.
That's how I remember. Okay, Ushamba.
Wow. I'm Shamba.
You are.
Wow, that's terrible. So courage is wide. It's not just being courageous, like in terms of what we described as orome, but it's in being able to have, of course, bravery. And bravery is important in life. And we've talked about this, Njeri, even offline, where if you are not able to take risks in life and be able to be courageous, you're not going to be able to prosper, or the people who
reach your life's potential, fullest potential.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you have to have bravery, man or woman or child, you have to have bravery so that you can be able to move the needle and be able to reach higher heights in life. So the other aspect of courage or oshaba that the Mugikuyu has is in being diligent. So having what is called keo, and I'm sure you've had the name nyakeo.
Yes.
Which is, putting effort in things that you do, working hard. And being able to, so I think one thing I'll say about effort is, in today's society, we think that, you can get rich quickly.
Yeah.
Or you can strike it rich in a day.
Right.
And so what we do is, we have the courage to take the risks, but we don't want to do the work.
Or we don't want to persist.
We don't want to persist.
The moment it gets a little tough, we want to pull back.
Exactly.
Right.
So in Kikuyu, we say, gwekira mohodhia. Like, kuhodhia things is to make them light and not being able to put your best foot forward and do the work.
Consistently.
Exactly. So keo is an aspect of courage.
Okay.
So another aspect of courage is what is called okirereria, or being able to in difficult situations, being able to be calm, being able to be stoic. So okirereria means to be able to, for example, you're driving and somebody cuts you off.
Yeah.
Being able to control your emotions and not cast them out or call them out or chase them with your car. It's an aspect of being brave in terms of you're able to what is called wekideria, or to be calm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it also helps when, for example, it would be a losing battle to be brave. So, for example, if I was going to fight Goliath, it's good to be brave, but that situation I'll most likely lose, right?
Right, yeah.
So you can be calm and be able to solve that problem by calmness.
Wow, calmness of spirit.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Okay.
And which brings it to, which is very close in relation to ohoreri.
Okay.
Which comes from
Kohora,
which is gentleness.
Yeah.
You can be brave, but be a gentle soul.
Yeah.
Braveness doesn't have to be macho.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, you're brave in your mind and your spirit, but you're a gentle person.
Oh, so beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then what was the fifth ethical philosophy of the Agikuyu?
So the fifth ethical principle or philosophy of the Agikuyu was wekideria, which is temperance. And so temperance is the way you can be able to control your willpower. So being able to abstain from certain things, like being able to fast for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, or 5 days, being able to have that ability to be able to abstain from certain things.
It's really about, I hear it sounds like self-control, the ability to manage yourself.
Absolutely. It's self-control. And Jerry, we talked about this earlier in previous podcasts, the fact that in certain ceremonies, the Mugikuyu had to fast. They had to abstain from certain things like, sex. They had to be able to cleanse themselves by going without things that they would normally have. And so that was considered very critical, especially when it came to things like magogona, or ceremonies or rituals that you had to be pure of spirit. You had to have cleansed yourself. You had to have gone, you have to have abstained from certain things.
Okay. So I think that's beautiful, Waiyaki. I mean, gosh, the more I listen about our culture, the more I'm like, are you kidding me? Why did I not learn about this before? Right? Because it's so deep, rich, and powerful. Like really, our ancestry, our heritage is something to be proud of. All right, Waiyaki. So now, I mean, that was so beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of recite this, the 5 virtues, right? Or the ethical principles, and then we can move on to the next thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
So Waiyaki, to me, this is so beautiful. When you think about the Agikuyu, our ancestors, they had principles of life that every Mugikuyu aspired to have ire na ireri, honor and legacy and wealth, right? But to live a life with these 5 virtues of honesty, which is the uprightness of character, generosity and a generous spirit, right? Justice, right? Courage, which you defined as 3 different things, and temperance, which is self-control or self-management. Just think about those beautiful principles. If we can even all just apply that to our lives, like how much more would we thrive? And I think that this is beautiful.
So I'd like to add one thing, Njeri, and thanks for that beautiful summary that you just summarized. I like the way you normally summarize my thoughts because sometimes my thoughts are random.
No, your thoughts are amazing.
So anybody who wants to learn more about these ethical principles or virtues of the Mugikuyu should go and buy the book by Hannah Wangeci Kinoti. May she rest in peace. She passed away a while back. The book is called African Ethics, Gikuyu Traditional Morality. It goes into depth on each of the virtues and explains even further what ire and ireri mean.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for sharing that. All right, Waiyaki, so let me move us on to the next question. Which has to do, let me move us on to the purpose of the podcast, which is the stages of life of a man and a woman. But before we jump into that, let me ask you a question. Why should we, in this modern contemporary world, care about the stages of life of a Mugikuyu man and woman from back then? Why should we care?
That's a good question, Jerry. I think that, every life has, that is a gift from God. So for a child to be born, there has to be a purpose for that life.
Yeah.
So the Mugikuyu believed that life happened in stages. So you are a baby, then you became a young boy, young girl, then you became a young man, a teenager. And at each and every stage of your life, certain important things had to happen. To go as you become an adult and become an older man or woman, you become a parent, you become a grandparent. Those levels that you were passing were levels of honor and respect.
Oh, so it was not just a factor of, so are you saying you had to earn it? Like basically, just because I'm of a certain age doesn't mean I have graduated from one stage to the next?
It doesn't. And actually even for men and women, the latter stages of your life, you had to earn them. Because, for example, if you hadn't paid Boria Kiama, you would not be able to get into the Kiama.
Okay, and I know you're going to tell us more about that.
Yeah, okay. I won't talk about Kiama in detail because the details of the kiama are not spoken on TV or on because they belong to the kiama.
They're sacred.
They're sacred. That's correct.
Okay, but what I'm hearing you say, right, is that these stages that we're going to go into, you don't just get them because you became old.
No, you
right?
don't.
You really, for some of these stages, and you'll talk them through them with us, you had to earn through each stage. You had to do what needed to be done in order to progress or graduate into the next stage.
Right.
So I guess, Waiyaki, my question is, what if you didn't graduate? Like, what if you stood stuck in one of these stages?
So if you are stuck in one of these stages, then you would lose respect among your peers. So it would be, for example, you have a meeting of, older women who have reached a certain level, and you would not be invited.
Oh, so there really were societal consequences.
There are societal
to
consequences.
Not graduating. Okay.
Exactly. There were societal consequences that I think in today's contemporary world are not that felt, but it's important to understand because what these stages were reinforcing is the purity of life of a Mugikuyu. You have to be able to live certain virtues so that you can be able to graduate into these levels.
Stage, yes.
And, at the end of the day, it was forcing you to achieve ire and ireri.
Yes.
It was kind of pushing you in that direction.
Just naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about the 7 stages. Wait, how many stages are there?
There are actually 9 for each. Close enough.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's go in and talk about the stages because, guys, as you're listening, and this is what I'm going to do, I want to start hearing if in all of these stages, if they have relevance in my life, if there is something I can take from them and apply into my modern contemporary world, or if I can, at the very minimum, relate. Okay, so all right, Waiyaki, let's jump in. There were 9 stages.
Okay.
So what was the first stage?
So the first stage is when you're born. And when you're born, we talked about you're said for gemi, depending on whether you're a girl or a boy.
Yes.
But the baby who has just been born is called gakege or mwana wa rukege. So that's or shora or munyoge. These terms are used in different parts of the Gikuyu because there's Njeri, Muranga, and Kabete. They used to use different terminology to describe exactly. So, but mwana wa rukege is usually a common phrase to describe a newborn baby. So that was the first stage of your life as a person, and at that time there was no differentiation between girl or boy. You were just a rukege or gakege. Then, as you grow a little bit older, and we said that, the first major ceremony or that happens when you're born is they say gemi for you.
They put blessings, they pour blessings over you.
An intention.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which blessings we call blessings in Gikuyu, dadimi. Kuradhima is to bless. So dadhimi is the blessing.
Okay.
So after that stage, when you're born, after a few years, you become a toddler.
Okay.
So a toddler is either mwana wa kahe or mwana wa kairetu. And before, as you reach 4 or 5 years old, you're a toddler, you're moving out to be like a small girl or small boy. That's when the second birth happens.
Okay.
And we've talked about the second birth, which is Goshokia Mwanai Huine.
Right.
Which is really, if I can compare it to any ceremony that Christians do, it's like your baptism.
Okay.
And the significance of this, we won't go into the details of the second birth, but the significance of this ceremony that was done is so the child before the second birth was considered still a part of the mother. Actually, they were considered one and the same thing because in our culture, the child from when they are a baby to a toddler never left the woman's side. And that's why you've seen even in pictures on Instagram that depict our culture 100 years ago or 50 years ago, you always see, even if a woman was going to the river, going to the farm, she had her baby on her back.
Yeah.
So the baby was considered actually part of
The mother.
the mother.
Okay.
An extension, like the baby didn't have its own identity.
Identity.
So the ceremony of the second birth is ogoshokia mwana ihuine. Goshokia mwana ihuine literally means to return the baby into the womb.
The womb, yeah.
And so that ceremony was done, and it actually signified a second cutting of the umbilical cord. And so that's when the baby earned the name Kahe or Kairetu. So before, they were Mwana wa Kahe and Mwana wa Kairetu, but this now they actually have a soul and a complete gender.
I love that. They almost earned their identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the second birth was a very important ceremony. And, you know, at this point, Njeri, is when if the parents or the family felt that the name the child was given at birth would meet misfortune, they would give the child an alternate name.
Okay.
They would change the name.
Yeah.
Because, you know, names are very powerful, and we spoke about this before.
Yes.
But this is where they would change the name to make sure that if that name that they had given the child, girl or boy, was being followed by unfortunate events,
Yes.
then they would cut that
Cord.
and give this child, you know, a new lease of life.
Wow, that's so beautiful and deeply spiritual. Wow, okay. So then what was the third stage?
So the third stage is now the boy or the girl become a kehe, which is a big boy, or kairet, or actually keiretu, or so actually I didn't say stage number 2. Stage number 2 for a boy, it's kahe.
Okay.
The girl is called karego.
Okay.
So that there's a distinction there. So, and then when the boy becomes bigger, he becomes a kehe, and the girl becomes a kirego, which is a big girl.
Okay.
And a big girl, I mean even 9 years, 10 years of age,
Okay.
where they can be sent, they can be given some responsibilities, but the thing is they haven't gone through initiation.
I see. But in this stage, they start taking on responsibilities.
Some responsibilities.
Yeah, of course, in accordance to their age.
To their age,
but,
yes.
before maybe they were just playing. Now,
Yeah.
you start learning some
Yeah.
of these values like hard work.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and another thing is now at this point, as we've talked offline, Jerry, most African cultures used to teach by storytelling.
Yeah.
So when they are in that stage is where they would sit around the fire and they would be told stories of folk tales, or this is where they would start being given cultural instruction. So every evening they would sit down and they would be like the girl would sit down with her mom. She'd be given some stories. She'd be taught how to cook. She'd be taught about things that to do with women. And then the boys would sit around their dad's house, and he would give them instructions and just give them stories to teach them according to their age.
Yeah, of course.
And that's how they learned kirira. That's how they learned their culture, all through that stage until they were getting to the stage where they would get initiated.
Oh my gosh, I love how intentional this is so far, right? So far, just the 3 years, the first stage is all about pouring blessing and intention, right, into the little one, the newborn, right? Then they move on to the next stage, again, very intentional, where we're going through a second birth or baptism, right? Where now the child earned their soul, their identity, their gender. And then now we moved on to the third stage, which was again so intentional and purposeful, right? Where the child started taking on responsibilities to teach the virtues of hard work. But on top of that, we started intentionally infusing lessons and cultural instruction. Wow, that is so well drawn out. What a beautiful map to create a rounded human being. So then what was stage 4?
So stage 4 was now a new stage. So where the girls and the boys would go through initiation, and initiation is another whole topic on its own. But this is where they would learn. They would go and learn about becoming adults. And mind you, as we spoke about it in the last podcast, initiation used to happen when the children were a bit older.
Right.
So in the 18 to even 20 years of age is when initiation would happen.
Right.
Because it was preparing them for two things. One, marriage. And then for men, it was preparing them to go into what is called to warrior status. So, and the warrior status, the Gikuyu warriors, they had several levels in them, which we won't talk about today, like Itugati, Kamatimo, but so initiation was preparing them to go and now be warriors and to look for wealth. Because if they didn't go and look for wealth, they would not end up marrying.
Yeah.
And so a good thing to point out here is at that particular stage, especially for men, you have to have Oshaba, which is the gemi you are said for.
Yes.
As a baby.
Bravery.
Because let's think about it. So what how are they acquiring wealth back then?
You go and steal it from other tribes.
And so stealing is a strong word.
You're right, because I said we were very ethical. Okay.
Stealing is
a new one.
Yeah, so
it's not the right one.
So the word that the Mugikuyu uses is called hutaha. So they would go hutaha.
But nowadays when we think about hutaha, it's like bankruptcy and they come and taha you.
The word taha can be used in many different ways. But they would go and raid and get cattle, sheep, goats from, especially the Maasai.
Okay, raid,
yes. Right?
And it was both ways. Everybody raided each other.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly. And why were they doing this? It's because the men knew that the only way I can start the process of dowry and earn a family and move to the next level is to have cows and goats and all that, right?
Oh my goodness, that totally connects. So if I'm not brave and I can't go raid and I can't be a good warrior, then I cannot earn, right, a bride. And not that a bride was a possession, right? But I cannot pay the respect needed, right, to have a bride.
Exactly.
To be the kind of man a woman would be proud to marry.
Exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And if you contrast that with today, women want a man that has possessions.
That is stable.
You might say it's gold digging or anything, but it's instinctually a woman wants a man that can provide for her and their offspring.
Right.
That's biological.
Yeah.
It's a biological, it's in their DNA.
Right.
So if you're not brave, you cannot be able to earn, you cannot be able to get the requisite wealth to go and Russia.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I never knew this. You just connected so many dots for me.
And then the other thing is, obviously, this is a side note. So I think a lot of people think Russia is buying a woman. It's not buying a woman. You're actually buying blessings. It's not, because you cannot actually buy a human being. A human being is priceless.
That is such an important distinction, Waiyaki.
Yeah, you can't buy a human being because the life of a human being was a miracle. How much money are you gonna pay God for a human being? You can't.
Yeah.
So the notion that the Rurashio process is a process of knowing the other family, getting to be friends with that family, and to get the blessings for those children, for that man and woman that come together in marriage.
Ah, beautiful.
So, yeah, going back. So, so stage 4 was initiation, where now the young man becomes a mumo or kiumeri. So kiumeri is kumera means coming out.
Okay.
Or coming of age, really.
Yeah.
And then the girl is a moiretu.
Okay.
Who is unmarried.
Okay.
Right? So that's that stage. And that stage, like I said, is very important, especially for the girls, because the girls had to have the ethical virtues of like temperance.
Yeah.
Because if men or the young men who are looking to get married saw you as a girl as being, loose or poor moral character, you would not be one of their first choices. Or if they went to their parents and said, I want to marry so and so, and the parents would be like, that girl from that family, you know how she is, right? So
I don't know about all that, but I want to say something which is so exciting and delicious.
Okay.
Which is on the next podcast, we will touch on sexuality within the Agikuyu culture. So don't miss out, because I'm telling you, there are going to be some big revelations, right?
For sure.
In terms of how the Agikuyu really thought about sex, right? It's actually quite eye-opening. So good to know. Okay, good. So are we ready to move on to the fifth one, or do you have one more point?
Yeah, I don't think I have any more to say. I think we'll delve into these topics deeper in the future. But so let's move on to the fifth stage of life.
Number 5.
So the fifth stage of life is now when the young man becomes a mwanake, and he's attained his warrior status and is looking now to get married.
Okay. So, and the woman as well. So, ready for marriage is a stage?
Yes.
Okay.
So, readiness for marriage.
Okay.
And actually, that stage 4 and stage 5 are kind of similar because, as we said earlier, once you go through initiation, it's preparing you for these two things. For men, warriorhood and marriage, and for women, marriage.
Yeah. And you know what's so fascinating if I was to compare it to today's life? Like, this is so similar. Think about it. When we're done with high school, Form 4, right? Most of us then step into that next stage, which we would call initiation, right? Where we begin life as an adult, and we all go and seek those things that prepare us for marriage.
Right.
A man will go and seek stability financially, right? Wealth, so he can take care of his family. A woman will do the same, right? But in that sense, she too is seeking that place where she is ready to step into the next phase of her life. So she's preparing herself too through education, seeking stability, emotional growth for everybody, so that you can be ready for stage 5.
The next step. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then now you're ready for marriage. So do we just jump into stage 6 or what?
Yes, let's jump into stage 6. So stage 6 is where the man becomes modhuri, and another word for modhuri is called karavai. So modhuri is an interesting word because I don't know if you know what the word modhuri means.
Yeah, old man. No, just a man, right?
Okay, yeah, but the word modhuri comes from the word wodhura.
Oh, discretion?
No. Wodhura means to choose.
Yes.
So
to choose wisely.
That's, you hit the nail on the head. So a man is known to, or a modhuri, a man who can be called a modhuri is somebody who is known to make good decisions and to choose wisely. And not just choosing a good wife. It's discernment in all aspects of your life.
That's what I was looking for. Discernment, not the other one I said with a D. Yes.
Okay. Yes, so discernment and being able to choose wisely. And so for the woman is where she becomes a kangei. So a kangei is like a woman who is married and maybe has one child. So yeah, like a young bride.
Okay.
So that's the level. And at this stage, say if the modhuri and the kangei have a child or children, they can be called names of respect. So either wa or
Ngania.
ngania or
Yeah.
nyina wa ngania.
Yes.
And so I was talking to my cousin recently who got a child, and I called her and we were talking about. I was telling her, hey, now you're nyina wa ngania. And she was like, don't say that. That's making me old, And so I was like, no. Being called Nina Wangania, not everybody can be called that.
It's reverence.
It's reverence, respect.
Yes.
It's a very, very important,
Yes.
a very important stage or important address of respect when you call somebody Nina Wangania.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's part of westernization, right? Where and tell me if I'm wrong, but at least growing up, people of elderly status, meaning older than you, were to be respected. Age and came with wisdom, and it was respect. This whole idea of resisting what happens naturally, which is every single person ages. If you're 20 today, you will be 30 if you're lucky. You'll be 40, you'll be 50 if you're lucky, right? So that really is a Western thing. So this really, being called that is really something of honor. Age is something of honor.
Absolutely. And to add to that, you have to respect your elders.
Yeah.
That was one thing. And whether it's your parents and people who are your parents' age are like your parents.
Yes.
So our culture used to have those virtues of being able to respect people of age, people who have attained those levels.
That is correct. Age is not weakness.
No.
Age is not only a blessing, right? But it is that maturity comes with added respect.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So then what was stage 7?
So stage 7 was Muthuri wa Kiama. So the Kiama, which we won't go into detail on the Kiama, but the word Kiama means care of ma, truth. Kiama.
So counsel of truth?
Yeah. No, care means to have.
Okay.
So, or not to have, but of truth. So Kiama. So this is now a stage in a man's life where the man would enter the Kiama. And this is a group where you get further instructions on our culture. Things that are deeper than just the regular instructions you would get, say, as a child. And our language was so deep in terms of, you could give children cultural instructions and they would understand. And then you could talk as adults and children were present, but they wouldn't get what you were talking about.
Right, because they hadn't been through that education.
Exactly. And I think just to say one thing about the stages is that, you want to experience each stage as you go. You don't want to miss a stage, because if you miss a stage, you're going to come and maybe repeat it as an adult. So each stage was important to live that stage in that order.
It's like if you didn't go clubbing in your 20s.
Yeah. You're
Really, I'm not talking about a lounge where it's chill. I'm talking about like heavy clubbing,
like a disco.
Like a disco. You have to bump each other off because you're all in each other's space. So you find yourself, at much later ages.
You're in the club. Exactly. And you don't want to do that. You don't want
maybe you do, but you're right. You do want to enjoy that stage.
You want to enjoy that stage and move on to something else.
Yeah.
So that stage for the woman was the nyakenyua. So the nyakenyua is an important stage because this is the stage where now you have children who have already gone through initiation. So you get into another different group of women who are nyakenyua, who that's their respect level, and you would be looked at as so for a woman who has reached that level, and she's of character and she carries herself well, is what we normally call today as gather. Mutumia Gather. So Mutumia Gather is like an honorable woman. You know, she's has a level of respect that is high.
I love that. Not only respect, but I'm hearing also authority.
Authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, you know, Mudhuri wa Kiama, because me, I'm not a Mudhuri wa Kiama. I cannot be able, I have to look at any Mudhuri wa Kiama with a lot of respect and a lot of reverence. And, you know, it may not be happening in today's society, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
That, you know, you had to, you know, a Mudhuri wa Kiama could send me. I could be their messenger.
Yeah.
And they could ask me to do things for them because I hadn't reached that level.
Yes.
And this was any Mudhuri wa Kiama. So there was that level of respect and reverence for people who had attained
Higher level.
a higher level.
That's beautiful.
And,
Okay.
And you know what? Let me add one more thing. What that did is it created order in the Gikuyu society. You know,
Love it.
You know, because life is chaotic. What it did is it created order and respect. It created what we called, or what Bwana Kingori called, uhoro, or peace.
Yes.
You know.
Right, because when there is no chaos, internal or external to you, there is peace.
There's peace, exactly.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, so then what was stage number 8?
So stage number 8 for the man was the Mudhuri wa Matadhi. So, and then for the woman, it was the Nyakenyua Guru. So the first Nyakenyua was Nyakenyua Nini. The other one was Nyakenyua, stage 8 was Nyakenyua Guru. Okay. So Nyakenyua Guru is now an older woman who now even her children are married. And so these levels, certain things were now, when you reach those levels, now you could do certain things that you couldn't do before. Like a Nyakenyua Guru now, because her children are married, she can drink. She could have participated in drinking Muratina during ceremonies. She was allowed because she had reached that level. You know, and even now, she had earned it. She had earned it. She had earned that level.
Okay, but I have to ask this question: at what level did men start drinking?
So the same level.
Oh, good. Okay, I like the idea of equity.
It wasn't disparate. It wasn't.
Beautiful. Because I do believe that about our culture and our ancestors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wasn't disparate because so the Mudhuri wa Matadhi is somebody who already now their children had already gone. They had gone through initiation. They had gone through marriage. They could drink as well.
Yeah.
And you know, we talked about Muratina, and I said that certain levels, young men, young women were not allowed to drink.
Yes, you did say that. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
On to the last stage is so for the woman, it's she was described as Keheti. So this is an older woman, like a grandma, who would not leave the homestead. And then for the man, he would be called Matura Guru. So this is a really old man. And that level was like the last level where they have actually lived their life. They have children, grandchildren, and maybe great-grandchildren. They have seen these 4 generations come, and they have lived their life in a virtuous way.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm imagining, they may need a caretaker, which is fine, but they still possess all the wisdom, and they're probably ready for the next stage, which is moving into the afterlife.
Exactly. And one difference between, obviously, getting a caretaker is you know, in Western societies, we send our grandparents or our parents to homes. That's not African at all. You know, we would take care of our parents. And you know, one of the reasons why that would happen is we had large families, so you could always have a niece, nephew, look after your grandfather, your great grandfather. There would always be someone available.
You were never alone, and you were never abandoned. You always belonged.
Exactly.
And I think that's so beautiful, Waiyaki. And I think what's so powerful about this, right, is the fact that when you think about the 9 stages, right, you recognize that it was heavy on a couple of things. It was heavy on education and growth. Like in each stage, you are growing not only from a soul level, but also from a mind level because so much education was happening. You recognize that it was very purposeful and intentional. Nothing was a coincidence or by mistake. Your life had been planned out, and not in a negative way, but intentionally setting you up for success in each stage of your life. So nobody was abandoned. Like in essence, no one was left behind, right? And I also love what you said is that because of this, right, we created order. Right, in our society, that's how we created order because everybody went through the same stages, learned the same stages, so the community had the same thinking and the same values. And guess what? That resulted in peace. I have to tell you that these, 9 stages combined with the 5 virtues that you just talked about, I can see them weaved in there, and I see them not only applied in our life, but I also see that order in that structure as something so purposeful and beautiful. And I know that's my favorite word, but I find our culture to be so beautiful.
It is.
So any last words before we talk about what the next podcast will be about?
I think we've exhausted and taught the listener. There's much more to learn about the stages of life and in each stage the ceremonies that happen. So I think this is a good foundation for our listeners to dig deep and, read books and find out more about the philosophy of a man's life and a woman's life in our culture.
Oh, thank you so much, Waiyaki. This has been so insightful. And as always, once you listen, it leaves you feeling proud to be who you are. So I guess my question for you is, what's the next topic going to be about? Because I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So what can we expect the next episode to be about?
So, Njeri, that's a good question. I think the next podcast will have some good surprises, and we are hoping to delve deeper into some of the topics we talked about today.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm eager to get into the next podcast. Thank you so much, Waiyaki.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening and being present and engaged in today's episode. We are grateful. Follow Mutigaire Gemi on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoy this podcast, give us a rating and review wherever you listen to us. Our website is www.matire-gemi.simplecast.com. The podcast was produced by Waiyaki Geshaga and Njeri Diho. Our sound editor is Njenga Gigs. Thanks again, and please share widely.